puts the squeeze on that one.
What
And
is
there's
going
two
on?
away.
It's your boy Grizz, and today
At the plate,
we're going to be
Luis
talking about
Robert.
what settings
1 for 1
I
with a
use.
single so
If
far.
you're anything like me, whenever you guys first start
And
playing,
there's a foul
you're going to
ball.
have stuff that you think is going to work, and it's not going to. You're going to have a game of Diamond Dynasty that you just perform terribly,
Wouldn't chase
and you're
that
like,
time.
man, it's my settings.
4
I'm here
runs
to tell
already
you
in the
that
frame
unless
near
you're
the top of the
using something
second.
that's not obviously PCI hitting, it's not. It's probably
in the
not
air
your
out
settings.
towards right center.
The game just
Ruiz
came out,
on his way over.
but
Makes the
I
grab,
know a
and
lot
that's
of
the
people are
inning.
going to be looking for the right settings.
And we're back.
They're going to be
Bottom
looking at
half
all
of
these
inning number
pros,
2.
trying to decide what they want to use. And
that one fouled off.
most of the time, the
Ohtani
pros have
in
stuff
his
that they've
7th
used since
season,
the game
29 years old, and he was born in Japan.
or since they obviously started using
Foul
Diamond
ball
Dynasty.
still
So
0-2.
they've used it, they're used to it. That's what they think's the best. Some people don't
And
think
the
that,
right-hander
but
deals.
I'm going to tell you guys what I use.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out. And there's one away.
Works cool. If it doesn't,
Ryan Noda in the box now.
try
No balls and a
something
strike.
else.
And
But
foul
I mean,
ball.
obviously with MLB, there's 3 different
This
types
is
of
a
hitting.
very
One,
important inning here. After scoring
Yeah,
all those
3.
runs,
Your
your pitcher
analog
come out and just
is the
mow them
classic
down.
where you
The
set
offense
X
has worked
swing,
hard.
Y
It's
swing,
shut
square
down
power
inning
swing,
one.
square contract,
Let me
like
Diaz
that,
now.
or you can use zone hitting.
That's in there. And that's strike
zone
one.
hittings were obviously-
Diaz
I mean, it's
in
what
his
everybody
8th
uses.
season.
The one that actually
33
plays
years
with
old.
sort of
Usually a
intention.
shortstop, but today starts at
I mean, they
third.
play online, stuff
And
like
down.
that. You use.
We're back to
zone
start the
hitting.
third, and there's a new
Zone
arm on the
hitting
mound.
basically is
Lucas
just you see here on my screen.
Adrian
Zone
Beltre
PCI,
getting ready to
you have the
hit.
middle part, and
And
try
that
to
one
line
hit
it up
97
with,
on the gun.
obviously when the pitch is going. If you line it up right in the barrel, which I'm not going to give
Way
you
inside, gets out of the way.
Of the
Gotta be real
athletics is not
careful
going
here,
to throw
too.
a strike.
He's
If he
hunting
does,
for his
I guarantee
pitch.
I'll look out, 'cause I'm not good at the game.
Righty to the plate.
Nope, he's gonna.
Oh, that
gonna
got away
pump
from
it.
him.
Wow.
And he's going to reach on a hit by
But
pitch to
as I
lead
said,
off
I
the
mean, you
inning.
got the PCI. There's
So man
many
aboard,
different versions.
and next
you
will
can
be the
use with
cleanup hitter,
PCI, so you guys
Kyle
can, like, kind of play
Mansardo.
around with that. But for the most
High
part,
fly ball
you
out
guys
towards
can
left
use
field.
using-
Brown ranging back.
Sorry,
Pulls it in on the warning track.
I mean, there's no. If
Man,
much
I
about it, if
love
you guys
that
want to be
route.
able
The
to
ball was
control
smoked.
where
He
you
knew
guys
he
hit the
had-
ball, that's 100% what you guys have to do. Another thing that I do, as you can see, we're playing on All-Star right now. I'm playing Conquest, trying to finish the last team Affinity. Swing input, I use buttons. I mean, you can use the analog stick if you wanted to. I just feel like the buttons is a lot easier. Obviously, you don't have to like set your feet and then swing or anything like that. PCI anchor. Basically, all this means is where it's gonna stick. Typically, if you use your left analog stick, or if you're on Xbox, I think it's still the left analog stick. I usually like to put it where the pitcher's throwing from. So if he's a right-hander, I put it in the left upper right quadrant of the PCI, and I work down, try to track the ball. If he's a lefty, you do the opposite. You do it up in the right corner and track the ball. It makes it a lot easier to get your eyes focused on where the ball is going. It can really help you out. PCI anchor reset. I don't usually mess with this. Just leave it where it's at. Basically, what that means is anytime that, obviously, you can do it set to where it's a whole game. If you set it up in that one corner, it's going to stay there the whole game. I haven't set the batter because obviously people can sub in and out pitchers. I can move where it's anchored, so on and so forth. PCI anchor dots. That's where on my screen you see the 3 little diamonds in the middle. You want that because obviously the middle is where you're aiming for. PCI center, this is where a lot of people differ. Some people don't have the PCI center. Some people use circles. Some people use diamonds. I see some people use altitude as well. Bat, I mean, it's completely preference based. I use diamonds. I mean, literally, you guys just play around with this, see what you guys like the best. I use diamonds if you want to follow exactly what I do, but any little version of that is going to work perfectly. PCI inner, some people don't use it at all. Some people use fishbowl. I see fishbowl quite a bit. I like wedge just because it's a little like, kind of looks like a parenthesis. Really easy to use. Other people just use, if you're using bat, set it to none. PCI outer, I personally use none. Some people also use wedge, outline, reverb. I mean, you can use anything at that point. This is where it gets a little weird. So PCI color, more or less you want to go with a color that's not obviously going to blend in with the field. So I highly recommend not using like spring green. That would be terrible. Or any lighter color for that matter. I typically either use red or white. Don't use black. Black, I mean, if you're playing a team that's black jerseys, it's going to be tough to see. If you're playing at night, it's going to be tough to see. I use red or white. That's what I highly recommend. Obviously, if you guys want to use yellow, if you guys even want to use black or green, go for it if it works for you. PCI opacity, sorry, however you say it, 100%. More or less what that means is how visible it is to you. You want it to be as visible as possible because obviously you want to be able to see where you're aiming to hit the ball. PCI fade outs, basically what this means is you can set it to where one part of your PCI will fade out as the pitch goes on. Whenever the pitcher typically delivers, that part will start to fade out. I have it set to none. I mean, you can play around with it to where it'll fade out, but personally, I think if it fades out, then you don't know where the hell you're aiming. So, and then vibration, that's something you can also turn off. I just really like feeling that whenever I hit a bomb, you obviously see it. So that's what I use for batting. Camera angle, I use strike zone. They used to have one. I have yet to be able to find it. I haven't exactly tried out everything, but I've tried out all the strike zones, as you guys can see in my first video. I use strike zone. They used to have one that was like really zoomed in to where you only saw the strike zone, made it super easy to read if it was a ball or a strike, because obviously if you saw it, it was a strike. If you didn't, it was a ball, or at least around the box where it's a hittable pitch. So I use strike zone. Pitching view, I have yet to mess with. I'm probably going to do pitcher center, but that's something that I'm going to screw around with a little bit and see what I like the most. A lot of people actually use catcher or something to do with the batter. But for me, I'm probably going to use strike zone, actually. That's what a lot of people actually do. I haven't messed with any of this stuff. Don't mess with any of this stuff. Just the only other thing that I do is obviously your pitching. Pitching interface, there are two that a lot of people use. Technically three. Number one, I use pure analog. Basically what you do is you pick your pitch, use the analog stick, bring it down to a bar, and you swipe up and try to get it in the zone. It's pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. Some people use meter, to where it has a meter, you fill it up, and then you try to get it lined up with the line. Some people use that. A lot of people, I think this is something that was introduced either last season or the season before. Pinpoint pitching. Basically, you pick a pitch and you draw it. I am not accurate enough with that. I typically will actually go between pinpoint and pure analog. And then obviously pulse is just your normal where you try to like fill it in and throw. Don't use pulse. And I don't mess with any of this stuff. The only other thing I do is make sure you have throw canceling on. Basically what that means is if you go to throw to like your cutoff man, or you go to throw to second and the guy decides to round the base and try to go somewhere else, you can cancel the throw and throw it. Or if you're trying to get the ball somewhere, just try to get it in the infield to kind of keep him from running, and you obviously mess up where you're trying to be accurate with it, you can cancel it and try to get it back. So aside from that, that's what I use for my settings. Obviously, like I said, try them out. I think, are we done batting?
To get back to the track right away, turned his back on the infield, got to the spot, turned around and made a nice catch. Arenado at the plate for the second time as he takes ball one.
I wish I was recording a few seconds ago. I put up 4 runs. Now as we get a single there with Arenado.
And there's a hit.
But with that being said, guys, those are my tips. Those are my
first and second,
settings.
now 1 out.
So let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you guys
Now it's
see
the
something
second
like, man, why do
baseman,
you do that? Try this.
Johnson.
Go for it. I'll look at it, take a suggestion. But aside from that,
And the first
y'all
pitch
take it
misses
easy
for ball
and
one.
be ready for a Road to the Show's game or some packs, whichever I decide to do first.
And
See
another
you guys.
ball.